We're live here. All right. And a good evening. It's 7 o'clock. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Bedminster Township Committee for June 19th, 2017. Our entire committee is with us tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Ms. Sullivan, can you provide the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Yes, sir. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News in Somerville and to the Burnetsville News in Burnetsville, to all subscribers, and also posted at the Municipal Building as of January 9th, 2017.
I'll ask you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have two sets of meeting minutes to review, and that would be both the June 5th regular and executive session minutes. Does anybody have any comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Permits and raffles. We have a number of them tonight. We'll start out with a raffle license for Freedom House, Inc. That's July 12th, 2017, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Fiddler's Elbow Country Club, an on-premise merchandise. A social affair permit for the Friends of the Jacobus Vanderveer House, July the 2nd, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 3055 River Road. A social affair permit for the Summit Medical Group Foundation, September 25th, 2017, 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., Hamilton Farm Golf Club. A social affair permit for the Gill St. Bernard School, September 18th, 2017, 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., also at the Hamilton Farm Golf Club. And a social affair permit for the Sean O'Hara Foundation, that'll be September 11th, 2017, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and that's at the Hamilton Farm Golf Club. We'll take the other one separately. Any comments or questions on those that I've listed? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And finally, one other permit is for a fireworks display for the Hamilton Farm Golf Club, 1040 Pottersville Road, June 30th, 2017, with a rain date of July the 3rd. That's 9 p.m. And Mr. Anderson, do you have any comments?
Our convention reviewed the permit application and would be
Mr. Anderson said he's reviewed the application, found it in accordance. I'm just repeating for the mic. Does Deus have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Anderson. Questions? At every meeting, we open that microphone at the dais over there to any member of the public that wishes to come and comment. We'll welcome compliments too.
Compliments you'll take.
But we will take any comments as well. Please, if you wish, state your name into the microphone and your address for the record.
My name is Sue Kilgannon. I live at 1840 Black River Road, Bedminster, New Jersey. I'm here on behalf of the people who patronize the the River Road Dog Park. Just for those of you who may not be familiar, I would like to give you a little bit of a brief history about the dog park. We were originally located across from the Vanderveer house, and were moved about a year ago to a location that is further away from the Vanderveer house. It's a much smaller park. It has very little shade. Now, I must tell you that the park, as it sat when it was across from the Vanderveer house, was simply a snow fence, nothing more than that, but at least it was large, some shade, and where we've been moved now is completely in the sun 90% of the time. You can go there in the afternoon and maybe in the height of summer catch a little bit of shade. When they constructed the new park, it was made strictly of snow fencing. when constructed it, they constructed it such that the snow fence was stapled with metal, and that the metal staples hit on the inside of the dog park. So you've got snow fencing, and you've got wire, and you've got metal staples on the inside of this so that they can pierce the dogs at any point. Not to mention that a snow fence is not exactly the most stable thing in the world, and it gets old and dry and is very easily broken. We have tried on multiple occasions to speak to the Recreation Commissioner about upgrading the park. We told there is no money, no funding to assist us in this effort. I must tell you that at one point, when we were still at the old park, we were told there was no money. Managed to put up 7 no parking signs to get us to stop parking in circle around the park. I encourage all of you to drive by the park, the dog park at River Road, and look at it. It is not only dangerous, it is an eyesore. It is a complete embarrassment this town. Just today, while mowing, the Public Works Department several new holes in the fence. And I have pictures to show you. I can show you all kinds of pictures of damage in that park. I mean, it's got patches everywhere. Not done by the DPW, but by us, the patrons. And awful looking. I'm glad to tell you, it is terrible. When we were attempting to get the park upgraded, we're told, a lot of people who use this park live in Bedminster. Well, do a lot of people who play soccer and baseball there live in Bedminster? I kind of wonder about that myself.
No, they do pay fees, though.
Well,
For the clubs that come in and use our recreation facility.
we-
I mean, your point is well taken. I'm just,
and we would be perfectly open to charging use of the park. We've looked at a number of different municipalities that have very nice dog parks. And one of the things that some of them do is actually charge a fee. Now, it's on an ad hoc basis and all that. You can't, it's hard to, but we have looked at that. The other thing that I was told was they weren't allowed to leave anything in the park. Well, for about 2 or 3 years, there's been a bench there. And then we added an old card table, which clearly is an eyesore. I mean, I totally agree. It's a terrible looking thing. And we had water bowls there. Because when you're in the complete sunlight, it does need water. And with water bottles there. Did in fact do that, and that was clearly, there's a sign on the door that says you're not allowed to leave water, you're not allowed to leave anything there. So about 2 weeks ago, I was moving out of a house in Bridgewater. We had a plant stand that was pure teak, and I brought the plant stand to the dog park because I thought it was a nicer, although not elegant, nicer accoutrement to the park. I got back about a week later, and the plant stand is gone. I call the police, and I report a theft. And I'm told by the police that and of course all of our dog bowls were also gone. Now the bench was still there. which has a little sign on it that says, "In loving memory of Trevor." So maybe there's some reason that that wasn't taken, but I called police to report a theft, and I was told that along with the water bowls, the plant stand was put in the city dump. And frankly, this is not why I pay taxes. If I may, I would like to just read you an email from one of the former people who went to our dog park. If it's okay, I'm happy to let you.
If you could just make it brief.
Okay, I'll just read you the pertinent points. Hi, folks. I want all my dog park friends to know I found a new park in Greenbrook, closer than River Road for me. Two parks, chain link fence, curved benches, and gazebos for shade. Running water, small wading pool, lots of trees. Bedminster Park folks should be ashamed by what they call a dog park. The only thing missing is good friends. I can only summarize by saying that it would really be ashamed by what we call a dog park. And I can promise you that there are lots of people that will help raise money to assist the township in developing a decent facility. But the current ag-agnostic relationship that we are experiencing doesn't give us any confidence that there's any desire for this to happen. And we're just here to ask for your help.
Mayor, can I jump in on it? Sure. Ma'am, your comments are well taken, and your timing is good. At the last meeting we had here 2 weeks ago, we actually brought up this exact issue, at which time I offered to spearhead the dog park renovations down on River Road. So I would suggest to you that afterwards you and I should get together, and I'll be happy to, throw it out to the public. I'm going to meet with Mr. Manns. We're setting this up to lay the groundwork, and I want input from the public because we want to put something in there that's useful. So your point's well taken. The timing is good. But it is in works, and it is something that's on our radar. And in fact, I'm the person that you should probably be speaking to about it, and I'd be happy to work with to get something better over there.
That would make me very, very happy. And I'm happy to give you my email address and
Yeah, we'll exchange that, and by all means, that's Martin Johansson is someone I happen to know from town. He was in earlier at a prior meeting, voicing your same concerns, that it's in a state of disrepair and we need to address it. And I reached out for Martin, and I've asked him to give me his input, and I welcome the same from you and any other users of the park. So all I can tell you is it's not falling on deaf ears. We're looking at it, and we have plans to do something with that. So.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Any member of the public wish to comment? Please come forward. All right, seeing none, we will move to our monthly subcommittee reports. We'll start with Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I really don't have too much to report. I just want to, again, remind everybody the Field of Honor with Jacobus Vanderveer House is going on June 25th through July 4th. It's really July 2nd. It's $40 for a flag. The applications are in the back of the room. They look like this. It's a great event. It's being run in conjunction with a nonprofit organization called VetRest. It's designed to make sure that the payments and the donations go for veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress. And just encourage you, if you'd like to buy a flag for someone, to go ahead and do that. The time's coming up now. So, no report on rec or the others next meeting.
Very good. Olson.
Mayor, I was away on my annual sailboat race to Bermuda the last couple of weeks, so I'm home
Very good.
and alive, but nothing new to report.
Thank you. Doug, or Larry?
Mayor, Environmental Commission is meeting this week on Wednesday night, and BHHC is meeting Thursday night. The only other thing I would have to comment upon is last Thursday, I attended the Somerset County Planning presentation. This was public meeting number 3, I believe, although it's billed as public meeting 2, on the presentation of the final draft of the priority growth investment areas plan for Somerset County, and they expect to go final, not as final draft, but as a final in early July with a rollout in mid-July. They did a presentation on all 17 areas they addressed in Somerset County. Notably, there's discussion about the AT&T campus here in Bedminster, as well as the Main Street, Lamington, 6 triangle, we'll call it that, which is also subject of the study area as well. Also, what was interesting is that they did a brief study on Far Hills, on downtown Far Hills, and there was a recommendation that the streetscape of Far Hills at some point meshing with the streetscape, the retail streetscape on Bedminster. That might be fully vetted a little bit further in the final plan. That's it.
Very good. Santucci.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the opportunity to meet with the Historic Preservation Commission this past week, and I wanted to mention that a couple years ago, the Trump National came out and volunteered to partner with us to replace the historic district signs that were in disrepair. They're now actually here in the nick of time, because in about a month we'll have the LPTA here. So John Smith's been working with, is going to begin working for some of the signs with Paul Ferrero in placement and replacing some of the other ones. So you'll see that going up around town. And also Essex Horse Trials are this weekend, the 24th and 25th. Just a reminder.
Oh, yeah.
Tickets are only $10 and it's a great event.
Hopefully the first of many equestrian events being revived over at Moreland Farms, which is half in Bedminster, at least partially in Bedminster. It's called Far Hills, but much like USET, which is not Gladstone, but it's in Bedminster. Anyway, come out, that's a great event. Just a couple things for me, just some fun things. This Saturday, despite the wet skies and a bit of rain, it did not dampen the spirits for the kickball tournament out at River Road Park, which I think our PBA ran, and I saw the PTO. Well, it was more of a consolation game by the time I got there, but the PTO was playing the kids. And I will tell you, it was pretty evenly matched, although the PTO had a pretty good pitcher from what I could tell. So that was a good event. That was out at River Road Park, and I just came from the school where the big softball game was supposed to take place today, which about 3 hours ago turned into a wiffle ball game. The teachers, along with the police, I saw Slugger Polito there. I saw Slick Fielding Patterson there, and Officer Cooper was there with refreshments and I think cold compresses for anybody that ran into walls. But anyway, the game was in progress with the 8th graders as I left, and everything was looking great. So that was another terrific event. And then I don't want to go another meeting without again thanking the staff, the DPW and the police, specifically the police, because another great report from Mr. Putnam with the Clarence Dillon Library. The folks that come out on the weekends to express their First Amendment rights around town, again, were well behaved and well controlled and politely taken care of, and we've got nothing but good feedback on that. So people like to exercise their freedom of speech, but at least they're doing it peacefully and hopefully relatively politely in town. So far that's all I've heard. Sure. So thank you. And with that, Ms. Bloom, Administrator's report.
Yes, just quickly, I met last week with the, I'll call him the acting administrator of PPAC Gladstone. We have a new shared service, as you know, with PPAC Gladstone for the operation of our pumping station here on Miller Lane. We were working off an MOU for that agreement since the beginning of the year. There were some administrative changes over in PPAC, so now I got together with the new acting administrator and their attorney, John Butter, who actually put together our shared court agreement. So Attorney Bruder will put together a similar agreement for the shared sewer, and then he'll supply it over to both Farrell's attorney and Mr. Bellaro just for their review before we actually get together with staff to adopt that new contract. So that was last week. And just to let everybody know, we just started the summer hours here for the township. A lot of towns do this where we work an extra hour during the week, Monday through Thursday. So we're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, which gives us the ability to close at 12 noon on Friday.
With someone on call for phone calls, right?
Actually, I do have a couple of staff members that are not doing that, so they're still here, and you know, if there's an emergency or anybody that really needs something, there are people there.
Okay, great.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Discussion on introduced ordinances. We don't have any, but we do have several ordinances to introduce tonight. And we'll start with ordinance 2017-015. It's an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of $43,450 for various police equipment for the police department. It authorizes appropriating $43,450 for the various police equipment for the police department in Bedminster Township. And the public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for July the 7th, 8:30 in these chambers. That's 8:30 a.m. in these chambers, because that's going to be, yes?
On this one, actually, at our last meeting, we introduced ordinance 2017-14, which was for $50,500 for the police department. After some review, it was brought to my attention that that should have been a lower number, 43,450 being the correct number.
Okay.
Reached out to Mr. Bellardo, and he said, no, you have to reintroduce it with the correct number. So
Okay.
this is a replacement of ordinance
That's it.
14.
And again, realize that this July 7th meeting is going to be a morning meeting. So, any comments or questions? And I think we did ask the chief or the administrator last time what some of those items were, so unless anybody has any further questions. Okay, can I get a motion to introduce 2017-015?
I'll move to introduce.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Ordinance 2017-016 is an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of $84,000 for various equipment for the fire departments, and that includes both Pottersville and Bedminster, Far Hills, Bedminster. And this is for Bedminster's 80% share of the purchases for the Far Hills Bedminster Fire Department and Bedminster share purchases for Pottersville Volunteer Fire Company. Public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for July the 7th, 2017, 8:30 a.m. in these chambers. Any comments or questions? If take a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second.
Again, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have ordinance 2017-017, and this is an ordinance authorizing the appropriation for $25,000 for capital projects for the SSTS. This is associated with a pumping station. This ordinance authorizes $25,000 capital projects for the SSTS. Public hearing for it. This ordinance scheduled July 7th, 2017, 8 a.m. in these chambers. And the SSTS, for those scoring at home, sanitary sewer transmission system. That's the pump station right here behind us in Miller Lane. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
And finally, ordinance 2017-018. This is an ordinance authorizing the appropriation for $325,000 for the reconstruction of the Bedminster portion of Meadow Road. This ordinance authorizes $325,000 for reconstruction of Meadow Road, for which a fiscal year 2016 municipal aid program grant was received in the amount of $223,500. Public hearing for this ordinance is also scheduled for July the 7th, 2017, 8:30 a.m. in these chambers. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second.
Again, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
We have one public hearing on an ordinance tonight, and it would be ordinance 2017-013. This is an ordinance of the Township of Bedminster, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, to amend and supplement the land use regulations of the Township of Bedminster, specifically Chapter 13 entitled Land Management, has certain setback and floor area ratio requirements in residential and non-residential zones and sign requirements in the VN Village Neighborhood. The purpose of this ordinance is Village Neighborhood Zone. The purpose of this ordinance is to amend Chapter 13 entitled Land Management of the Township of Bedminster General Ordinance to amend the certain setback and FAR requirements in residential zones and to amend the sign requirements in the village neighborhood. And this has been a long time in coming. It was the subject of a subcommittee of the Land Use Board last year and has gone under several revisions, and it is now up for the public hearing. So can I get a motion to open the public hearing for 2017-013?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. Is there anyone of the public that wishes to comment or question 2017-013?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir,
if I could.
if you want to do a little explaining too, that might...
Not really, I think it's probably been beat pretty close to death. But there is, in my opinion, one minor typo that should be corrected after looking at this for the time. If you look on the bottom of the second page where it has a definition of floor area and habitable, in the body of it, it says it includes stair, hall, service, and storage areas, but excludes a number of things, and then it says service and storage areas again. The language that the planning board discussed was, in the second section, to exclude the service and storage buildings, and not areas. The areas related to parts of the homes. The buildings were separate freestanding buildings on the property, like a turnout shed
Right.
on a farm.
You want to mark that up, and I'll pass it down to the committee so we all know what we're doing, and then Ms. Sullivan will have that to make the correction. Okay. So you just crossed out areas and put buildings in there. Okay, I'm going to pass that down so that correction is duly noted. It's not substantive in nature, and it can be voted upon tonight.
And again, just a little bit more history on this. You know, this is born from several years of experience by members of this committee, seeing anecdotal evidence, at least, if not more evidence, that there are folks in town that are not willing to put money into their own homes, businesses, because they're concerned about the cost and the restrictive nature of some of our land use ordinances. So small de minimis changes, we're trying to give at least a little bit more latitude for folks to improve their own facilities, their own homes. I know of people that said they wanted to move to the next town over because they didn't want to spend half their money just hiring a lawyer and an engineer to come to the land use board. And we thought that that was counterproductive. And that's why we embarked upon this more than a year ago. So we're hoping that this will pay dividends and will encourage people to maintain and improve their own dwellings. That's good for everybody in town. So, all right, any other comments or questions, please?
I just have a quick question with regard to Section 8. So the sign ordinance, which it went from what size to what size?
I believe 8 square feet is what was permitted in the VN zone.
Do you remember what it used to be? So I think it
Well, it was
says,
8 square feet.
okay, not exceeding, so it's revised to what? Because it says revised to read, and it says 8 square feet here, and the one that I have listed.
I unfortunately don't have my copy.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't know what the old one was.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you recall? It was 12.
Yeah, 8 to 12.
It's been 8 square feet
For a long time, and now it's 12.
Judy, do you have the zoning ordinance?
The current one?
Yeah. No, I would show Ms. Santucci the old one so she can see the change. We had it readily available.
That's okay. If
You're
it went from 8 to
right.
12,
Okay.
yeah, thank you though. Thanks very much.
And I will also tell you that the signage portion was probably one of the at least in the top three of what the Business Association was looking for to get at least a modest increase in the available signage. Any comments or questions? Okay, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing on 2017-013.
Move to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Consent agenda. Let me look here.
You got to vote.
Oh, yes, well, that would help. Okay. Can I get a motion for 2017-013?
So moved.
Ms. Sullivan, I assume the planning board sent back a report indicating it was not inconsistent?
Yes, sir, I
with the
did
master
receive
plan?
information from the land use board secretary that this has been reviewed and was found not to be inconsistent with the master plan.
Okay, so noted. Thank you.
So we have a motion for Mr. Jacobs. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick, just 1 second before I have to run out. I know that one of the last ordinances you adopted relative to land use related to the site plan exemptions. We've already had one that's been approved. That was for the installation of electric vehicle charging stations at the Verizon Wireless headquarters. Frankly, I think the planning board would be a little bit annoyed if they had to review a site plan on that because they would have had to. And the next one is an application. Currently, the details are being sorted out where AT&T at their headquarters is installing some ADA compliant access to the amphitheater outside the building. And again, working with them, it'll be an exempt site plan. So that process is working, and I think we're seeing things move forward already.
That's right. Paul, the time that you're putting into the review, is that based on the one you've done so far, is that consistent with the application fee that's being charged for that?
It's time that I'm already here.
Okay.
So it's just like any other change of use application, and they're pretty routine, get through them pretty quickly.
Great.
No, this is a win-win, and Paul, thank you for your help and your staff on this. This is good. And I mentioned this at the last meeting, but we have a few more people here, so I'll mention it again tonight. Some good news that we've had in Bedminster in recent weeks is the Mallinckrodt building on 206 had been going to be occupied 50% of the building. They are now going to take over 100% of the building. And that will be, that boosts the value of that property. And in boosting the value of that property, that will mean that more of our a greater percentage of our property taxes collected will come from commercial entities, which will help with us in the residential side. So we're hoping to work better with businesses that already exist in town to make sure they're encouraged to run all cylinders. So I think we're going in the right direction. And Paul, I thank you for your help on that. All right. Consent agenda. I do not see anything on our consent agenda, but we have a number of resolutions. And most of the resolutions, except for the last one, have to do with renewal of liquor licenses. So, Chief, are you here to talk to us at all about this, or?
I can.
Well, I'll read through them, and then at the end, do you want to? Well, we have to do them one at a time.
Yeah, we have to do them one at a time.
All right. So let me read them, and if you have a comment, we'll start with Resolution 2017-068, authorizing the renewal of Fiddler's Elbow Country Club's liquor license for the period 1 July 2017 to June 30th, 2018. Anything more different on your review?
You know, the ABC officer went out, found everything to be in compliance. A review of our police department records show nothing to cause concern regarding renewal of the license.
Can I get a motion, or first, any comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion for 2017-068.
Ms. Sullivan, note my recusal with respect to this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a question or a comment or a motion?
I do have a question. Just, and really it's only my own curiosity, is Fiddler's Elbow, is their license a different type of license than a retail that everybody comes off the street on, or is it more restrictive, or?
Yes, it's what we call a club license.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yep.
So they can only serve alcohol regarding to club activities and membership.
Yes.
when they do, you'll see a lot of things on our agenda for a social affair permit.
Mhm.
They have to get a special social affair permit when they have a wedding, when it's, or a fundraiser, when, and it's not related to a member.
Understood.
So-
Okay, thank you.
I will entertain a motion, if there's no further questions.
Move to approve?
We have a
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. Resolution 2017-069, authorizing the renewal of Delicious Heights Enterprises Corporation liquor license period 1 July 2017 to 30 June 2018. Comments or questions?
Same ABC officer went out, did his inspection of the facility. They were found to be in compliance, and there were no adverse police reports for that location.
Any other comments or questions? If not, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Again, roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. Resolution 2017-070, authorizing the renewal of Grateful Spirits, Inc. liquor license, period 1 July 17 to 30 June 18. Comments or questions? Chief?
Grateful Spirits is known as Colonial Liquors, located in Buckman. ABC officer responded out, conducted a compliance inspection, everything was found to be in compliance, and did not have any police reports indicating any issues at that establishment.
Any comments or questions? If not, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. Resolution 2017-071, authorizing the renewal of Cold Spring Liquor Corp.'s liquor license, period July 1, 2017, 30 June 2018. Comments or questions?
May 23rd, ABC officer responded out, conducted a compliance inspection at the Pluckman Inn. They were found to be, and police records did not indicate any issues at that facility.
Any other comments or questions? If not, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. And finally, Resolution 2017, this is amending Resolution 2017-072. This is amending Resolution 2017-055, authorizing the hiring of seasonal employees for Camp Bedminster, which is right around the corner, but we're adding 2 more employees. Any comments or questions on this resolution? If not, I'll take a motion.
So
Moved. Second.
Again, roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. Approval of the bill list. Can I get a motion to approve the bill list, pending the approval of individual invoices?
So moved.
Second?
Roll vote, Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. Discussion items. Does anybody have anything they wish to put in as a discussion item? And/or new business? We do have an item in new business. In new business, we have the Lamington River Restoration Project. There's a fellow, Mr. Lewis, contacted me a couple weeks ago. They were looking to have a meeting out at the property. Is this Mr. Lewis here? Yes. I apologize. I've heard you on the phone, and now I remember seeing your face from the hunting discussion. Do you want to come forth and just talk about this a little, rather than me try to explain it this way?
Sure, so
Just your name and your address for the audio recording.
my home address? Robert Lewis, 158 Lake Road, Far Hills, New Jersey. I am the manager of Flint Hill Preserve, 501c7 Corp., a not-for-profit sporting club. And as such, we're applying with the NRCS for a EQIP grant, which is a Environmental Qualities Incentive Program grant, to some restoration work on the Lamington River, parts of which we have established rights to fish, and some of which we don't, but you want to do it as a continual package. Basically, above Pottersville, the Pottersville Bridge, above the town of Pottersville, the stream is Class 1 trout production stream. Below, it goes to Class 1 trout maintenance stream. So there's breeding or no breeding according to the state. So basically, the concept is to improve the water quality going downstream as far as possible. We have mapped out a stretch and hopefully get all the way to Lamington Road. The goal is to increase the oxygen content of the waters that goes down and decrease or maintain colder temperatures farther downstream. Interested in fishing. Other people are interested in the impacts to the environment, like RHA, Barren Headwaters. Other people think it might improve their property values. We have about 60% of the stream bank owners on board. I'm here to try to get the township on board.
So what would be the nature? You're talking about oxygenating the water and trying to lower the temperature in the water in certain areas. Physically, how would that be possible? What kind of physical things would be done to improve the stream?
Well, a lot of people have historically increased the amount of fishing holes in a stream for a length, going on for 100 years or more. Mr. Urbani has a little bit different approach. He actually digs into the stream bed and he creates pools that are over your head in some cases. And these are streams that they just did one over in the North Branch of the Raritan above Ravine Lake that I was involved in.
I've been out to that. That's impressive.
You could skip across the stream, without worrying back and forth and down the stream. Now, if you do that, you're gonna go in way above your head. Basically, he creates these embed boulders. The only thing we bring in the project, we bring in boulders, puts the boulders down in the substrate, leaves them mostly buried, 3/4 to 3/4 to more buried to anchor them in place. Everything he does is low profile. It just lifts the water a little bit. After that, he'll dig a pool. The lift of the boulders will create a showering effect and keep the pool open. I have a couple degrees in geology, and I've looked at all the old stuff. I've been trout fishing my whole life, and I've always kind of, it's kind of ghastly to me, these armchair engineers playing around with club waters in the Catskills or wherever. And the Urbani team seems to has a strategy that's really most agreeable to me. And the key is to get a long stretch of water so you can kind of play it back and forth and down the stream. Historically, somebody would walk up and I want a pool there, and they make a pool. But that pool would have effects on the stream 200 yards upstream and 200 yards downstream. So they were kind of had a microscope. What he's done, I've seen projects at Hudson Farm in 6 County. The project in the North Branch, I was on site when they were doing Fiddler's Elbow, and I'm really impressed with his work and his
Do you have any printed materials or anything that we could see that describe it?
his website's packed with that stuff. Really is. I provided a link. I hope you got the map and my note that I sent to Ms. Sullivan, and had a chance to look through the stuff.
In order to apply for the grant, you need not only the landowner's permission to enter the property, but ours as well?
You are the landowner.
No, but in order to apply for the grant. No, but you've gotten some of the other, you said you met here with landowners, residents, in addition to us.
Yes, I met. There's other landowners. There's quite a few landowners actually.
And then so you need the support in order to be successful with the application for the grant. Is that what you're?
What I need is, this is what the landowners are being asked to sign. Flint Hill Preserve. It's an owner statement. Flint Hill Preserve has permission to enter our property into an RCS contract and to maintain and install vegetative and/or structural conservation practices for the life of a contract. And then I said, which will expire on or before December 2023. And this one is for Lot 7, Block 22, which I think may be wrong. I think it's Block 22, Lot 7.
So,
Block 7, Lot 22.
Does the township own the stream under repair? What was the division of ownership rights between?
The state owns the water in the stream.
The state does.
You own the ground underneath the water.
Splitting hairs?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
So trespassing wise, you can float down the river, you're not trespassing as soon as you stop the ground.
As soon as you portage.
That's not from personal experience, John, is it?
No.
In this case, joint ownership is Bedminster Township, Raritan Headwaters Association, and New Jersey Water Supply Authority, the way I understand it.
Correct.
Where's the lot? Where it is?
In your section, at least from what I can tell, you own the stream right up to the bank of your neighbor across the stream. The township owns it.
How do one define the bank? Like the highest point of
I don't know how.
high
I don't know
flood
if it's
water or something?
I don't know if it's fixed or moving. I didn't look at the deed.
Well,
This probably would have been a good question for Mr. Ferraro if he had been here, but altering the stream for better fish habitat and for overall environmental improvement is great. But I know that anything that comes before the land use board or anything, one of the huge component is stormwater management. Obviously, that is where the stormwater all goes to, but an alteration of a stream,
I can speak to that.
yeah, how is that either monitored or permitted or
So one of the,
coordinated?
I don't know if you're familiar with Hewitt dams. Anybody familiar with Hewitt dams? They're plank dams that trout fishermen stuffed in the stream. That created lift to the water and dropped it down, dug a big pool. They're spectacular when you look at it. What they do is they back up sediment, they raise the flood waters in the event of a flood, and they really tear things up. They create a blow up downstream where the banks essentially go out like this, where they used to be parallel. Lots of erosion around those structures. Mr. Bonney, everything really low profile. Not a lot of stuff sticking out of the water. In fact, very little. If he sticks a boulder out of the water, it's going to be that much out of the water. So when you get flood waters come up, they stay in the bank or they go out in the floodplain, but they go all over, right over everything he makes. Basically, this is how it's going to go. If you give me permission and the landowners give the club permission to enter this contract, we'll go into the contract. If we get the grant, that would actually be good. We'll also have a conceptual design of what we're talking about at that point. We get grant, then have to apply for DEP permits, which is a whole nother mess. They actually really...
You still have a lot of those, you have those type of hoops to go through, okay.
Right. But we will have, the NRCS will be applying for DEP permits. And
So you're not applying for the NRCS, Will?
they're going to help us with it, yeah. They're going to basically do it.
Who's the applicant?
Yeah, so
though?
who's the applicant at that
And that's
point?
kind of where I was going when I started asking a little bit of, so what do
I
you,
believe it's Flint Hill Preserve, because they're really supplying funding. But they want this to go through. They're not a regulatory body, right? They're part of the Department of Agriculture. They're all out to improve the environment, really more farming related stuff, but water is on their list. And the New Jersey office, the Frenchtown office, has really taken the ball and run with this stream restoration stuff because it helps the public.
When you get you're applying for a grant from NRCS. For the grant, you need authorization from the property owners. If you are successful and you get the grant, then you still have to apply to DEP for all the requisite environmental permits.
Correct.
So you get the grant, but the grant does not give you approval. The grant is just holding money off to the side for when you do secure the permits, and then you'll have to come back to us as the property owner and all the other property owners to get us to sign off on all those applications to further actually affect the grant.
My understanding is Flint Hill Preserve will be the applicant for the DEP permits.
You're still going to need property owner sign off on that, on the applications to DEP. So so the process is, you got a two-step process. You've got the grants, and then you've got the permits. So right now, we're just talking about putting you in a position to be eligible for the grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
John, is there any,
I haven't seen anything on this, so,
Okay.
I mean, there's a certain amount of due diligence that I would have to do before I could even advise you to act on this.
okay.
This
The
is
only
blank
question,
slate to me.
no, the only question I was going to ask is, he's looking for agreements from property owners. I guess I would be asking some sort of, to make sure there's language as far as insurance and hold harmless and all that stuff.
Absolutely, we would have to find out what they intended to do, where they intended to do it. It would have to be run by Meeker, Sharkey, and Hurley.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
so, there's a lot of due diligence, so, I mean, I'm sure I can come up to speed pretty quick, but I just haven't seen anything on this yet.
In our previous conversations, I thought the value in having this conversation now is really to try to, what is the process recommendation we're giving, right? And I thought this might be a matter of first impression for us, and the things that were going through my mind were, yeah, I mean, at the not even the 100,000 foot level, at any level, this seems like a potentially great idea where everybody wins.
I've seen the restoration up in Far Hills, and it's very impressive.
Yeah.
So-
So the question becomes, I mean, how do we do the due diligence and also give reliable advice to you on what I just don't imagine that from a township perspective, we would want to engage, because we are an owner of the bed, right? Which will be, we do own something, right? We own the bottom of the stream where the boulders are going, right? So wouldn't that be a land use with advice and consent of the environmental, our environmental group as a matter of due diligence, or is something that the township committee itself?
Ken, we did send a rep from the Environmental Commission out to...
Yeah, Tim was out there.
Okay.
Yes, you also had Bill Kibler from Raritan Headwaters, Director of Policy, and Christy McDonald, who's Director of Science at RHA.
I'm just talking about the jurisdictions of the individual commissions, that whether they do or do not have to be on record as having reviewed something. So that's my area of doubt, where I thought, we should give a consensus recommendation that's reliable on exactly what are the steps within our own jurisdiction.
Your new site plan exemption is actually codified a long-standing practice. It exempts the township from having on its own property to obtain any type of site plan or other approval. So the fact that it's on your property means that if there were a requirement that they file an application, there is none now. I mean, you could,
that's
it's
great.
in your hands, in other words.
Right. Yeah.
What sort of equipment is involved in placing the boulders? You going out with...
Well, we have to bring boulders in, and, so there's going to be some access to the stream. At this point, I don't believe we'll be asking the township to come across their property.
Okay, so do you know how you actually will get into the water?
Yeah, basically, they'll start at the top of the stream and they'll just pull out for bridges. There will be pullouts. They have to haul out at night. DEP makes doesn't get away from the stream at night in case there's a flood. It'll be a track hoe capable of lifting a 5-foot boulder. They're only allowed to work within the stream channel. They can't get up on the banks at all. You know, it looked a little beat up on the north branch above Ravine Lake for about a month, and then you can't see it now. I mean, really.
So you have an entry point somewhere upstream by the Pottersville Bridge, and then you'll just come on down, and then at the end of the day, get back out?
Yeah, there's an access. It's not the Pottersville Bridge. There's too many 1-acre lots or 2-acre lot there. I mean, I'm killing myself just to get these.
Yeah.
The owner said I have to sign off, but we're going to start, plus funding, there's a maximum amount of funding. So, you know, we're interested in taking full advantage of the funding, which is intended to cover 3/4 of the cost. The maximum funding under the EQIP program is $450,000. So we'll start somewhere below the sewage treatment plant on McCann Mill Road.
And what's your timing on securing all the property owners' authorizations? When do you need that by? Is there
I'm doing it now. They need it. The NRCS is very, it seems to me, in discussing with them, that they want this to be one of their flagship projects. So they're very interested in securing funding.
Is there a deadline for your application? So your deadline for getting your application in, so as John and Ken had mentioned, if there's additional due diligence, just want to know what sort of timeframes that you're expecting of us.
The deadline for the application was, I think, March 17th, and I did get the application in. It was not complete, and that I didn't have all the owners signed up. We were originally getting it in to just be recognized and really applying for funds in the fall. However, I got a call from the NRCS, and they said, we want your landowner sign-offs now. So I'm working on it, you know, best I can.
So, well, I guess my question would be, how quickly can you get some language to Mr. Bellardo so we can get some due diligence on it, make sure we've got all of our...
I think the application, Mayor, would
have that?
obviously, that'd be a
Yeah.
pretty good starting point that
Yeah.
they filed, and any subsequent correspondence, and then, you know, we'll turn it around as quickly as we can.
So, as opposed to a formal resolution or anything, I'm just going to go down around the dais here and get a sense of the committee as far as supporting this or not supporting this, so we can roll if that's something we wish to do. I'll start with you, Doug.
Sure. I think the idea sounds great. I'm happy that you've seen the work up in Far Hills. I do have concerns about the X's and the O's and how it's going to happen and who's going to oversee what and what level of approvals we need. So I want, obviously, to hear from John, but I think that in concept, it sounds like a good project.
Ken?
Yeah, I also think it's a great project. It's one of those ones, getting all the property owners on that. Feel your pain, but, you know, good luck with that. Support.
I support subject to John and make sure that the town is protected. And I just want to get, I'm still trying to wrap my arms around the issue of that. Are we supporting this application? Are we giving authorization for you to come on the property because you don't have your permits yet? So I guess I'm still sort of torn.
They want to make sure.
Are we endorsing your application for the grant, or are we giving you approval to enter the property, period? In which case, it still would be subject to insurance and review by Attorney Bellardo. So I'm support. I think it's a great idea. Oxygenating the river and trying to improve the quality of the river is fantastic. I just want to make sure that the town's protected.
I echo the rest of my colleagues. You know, there's a lot of unanswered questions. We are asking some questions, some really good questions, I think, that before you come onto the property, what are we actually doing there? But I support the concept, but I do want to see just some more information and what's going to be done there and what our responsibilities are and what our liability is and all those good questions. Mr. Bernardo will look into it for us.
Does the township require any certain size insurance coverage for construction projects like this?
We have an insurance agency that handles all of those things, so I don't know those off the top.
I think it's a minimum of $1 million, which what was provided to me, but I would have to review that with our insurance risk manager.
So my suggestion is, I know you're looking to do it as quickly as you can do it. Next meeting is going to be the first week of July. I think the quicker you can get things to us, and it can bounce around between Mr. Bellardo and Meeker Sharkey and Ms. Sullivan, and we can try to make the five of us as smart about it as possible. There is a possibility that morning July 7th meeting, we might be able to have an answer for you. If not, it may have to go to the next meeting, but I think this body's looking to lean forward to help you, so whatever you can do to help us help you.
And I'll say that there's a meeting, I mean, you may have heard us, or you mentioned this earlier, that there's a meeting of the Environmental Commission on Wednesday. You actually have the chair of the commission sitting right over there. So Tim was out there, but Mr. Lewis, to the extent you have additional information or additional materials, or you can say, here's going to be our entry point, here's going to be our exit point, these, this is the equipment list that...
That entry and exit points are delineated on the plans. The DEP has to sign off on them. And like I say, it will be from the other bank.
So it'll be from
And
the
if it is not from the other bank, there will be a discussion, and I will get permission from you to do that.
But so the entry point will be on the Tewksbury side?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay off of, people's property.
Okay.
People that I don't have specific rights, well, not rights to, but permission from.
Colin, while you're here, do you have any questions that if there's additional information that could be given to the EC for Wednesday's meeting?
No, it'd be terrific. I guess my other question was, if you don't get unanimous consent of all the property owners, what happens?
It depends. We have a long stretch. We have 3.5 miles, which is a little more than the NRCS grant covers. So we'll plan accordingly. I think we're very close to having, there's 2 stretches specifically. One is from the sewage treatment plant in Potterville down to the McCann Mill Bridge. The Black River Bridge. I need three. I lack 3 property owners there. You're one of them. But I've got the water authority and the headwaters, so I almost have you signed off. So there's 2 others. One of them told me on the phone she'd sign off, and the other one is going to check with a guy that I know that's going to convince him to sign off because I know who he's. So really, that stretch includes the township property. I mean, I think that's going to happen, and that's 1.8 miles of stream, 1.6 miles of stream. The section is from going backwards downstream. It's from Lamington Road all the way up to where it crosses under Black River Road. So, action. A little more problematic, but the grant is subject to, it's by the foot. You get a grant, and we'll give you $25 a foot, somewhere around there. So it's the number of feet we do times 25.
Is there a name of this property? I know it says Lot 7, Block 22. Sometimes, you got the Brady property. What is there a name that the Bedminster calls this property by?
No.
We call it the Millhouse Associates property.
Millhouse Associates.
Yeah.
And does that help orient me?
I'm sorry?
Help orient me as to that location with some...
Coming out a long way into Black River Road.
Okay.
And it's basically from Cody Farm up almost to Glen Mulbert's property.
Okay, got it. I'll look at a tax map tomorrow. Thanks, that helps.
Well, I think what you've got is a group that wants to say yes. We just got to fill in all the details, and we'll try and get it to you as soon as we can.
Okay, is there a point person that I can communicate
Why
with?
don't you make sure you funnel everything through Ms. Sullivan?
You just forward me some additional information I can give Mr. Vallardo.
Okay, and then you'll get questions to Judith, and she'll get them to me, and
If you have a copy of that application you submitted, including the plans, I would appreciate a hard copy of that.
the plans are probably, well, maybe they'll be done before the conceptual.
Whatever you submitted, just so I could wrap my arms around what you're looking to do.
Sure.
So I could put it up here.
And where you mentioned the EC, I mean, is there a specific ask we want him to do for the EC? I just want to quantify for him what is our ask.
It's the same question, which is, what details do you have so that the EC can review? And as, just to follow up on Committeeman Olson's suggestion that the EC is, the timing is right for you right now. So the more information you can get over to the EC, and if you can funnel through Judy to Colin will make the distribution. Wednesday we can have a discussion right here in this same room. If you want to come on Wednesday, meetings at 7 o'clock, same room.
Okay.
And the Environmental Commission can entertain and then give its recommendation back to the Township Committee.
Sure, okay, well.
But I'm just going to suggest that you come with as much information and details. Again, the equipment that's going to be involved, how many personnel, how long the process is going to be. Those are questions that the EC is going to ask. And so just to be
Do you have a nice, neat memo?
I've been on 3 of these projects while they're being done, so.
Do you have a nice, neat memo that defines the project? Because I tell you what, that would help everybody involved here enormously, as opposed to trying to piecemeal a bunch of stuff. What is it?
Yeah,
From
the
where
best way for me to do it is I could take you to, I could take you to your section of stream today, and I could take you over to Summers Lake Game Club, where I'm a member.
We're going to need something for the record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a matter of us going out and visiting things. I mean, we need to have something that we actually acted on that is an enduring piece of material. And the site visits and everything are great, but
That you can refer back to when you stand there and you say, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then we have it here, and then we make a promise to do X, Y, and Z. You want to make sure that we're responsible.
in 5 years from now, none of us are going to remember any of these conversations or the visits or the fact that we may or may not have looked at a website. That's going to facilitate a very rapid ability on our part, our collective parts, to approve something.
Sure, well, I'll work up something.
Okay. Great.
I'll get that to you tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
Okay?
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other new business? If not, we can go to old business. Potential sale of municipal property. I actually had a constituent ask me about this week. Is there anything new?
I just have a question. At the last meeting, we had shared some environmental information.
I have it.
I don't know where we are with that, because some of the interested parties were looking to review that as well, and we wanted to make sure we had a complete package to give them. So you have the only copy.
I'll bring it back on Wednesday.
Okay, great.
Okay, is there anything else? Okay. Public comments. This is our second and final opportunity to utilize that microphone and make any comments to those of us here on the dais. Please step forward, state your name and your address, because there's an audio and a video recording, but you won't be seen on the video. Please come on up. It's your last chance for the evening. Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to Township Committee comments, and then afterwards, we do have an executive session, which may or may not include a resolution afterwards, depending on how that goes. So, we'll start with Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to touch upon what you had hit upon earlier, the PA event on Saturday. Got there, we didn't start playing till 11. They were already playing in Monsoon, and John, I got them off the diamonds and put them onto the grass, and we used the grass for the remainder of the day. Chief, next year I was speaking with your officer that was running it, John, I forget, I don't recall his last name.
Dave and Chris. Dave Greenstein was out there, Chris
Sorry,
Cummins
Dave.
was out there.
Sorry, it was Dave.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to him that next year leading up to this, hook me in or hook in Spitaler's, because we get the news out to the school, you can quadruple your numbers just by doing that. A lot of folks had picked up the pictures, hey, what's going on down there? No one really knew that this was going on, and a lot of people really were pumped up about it. You know, heading into it, had learned late, and a lot of people wanted to get involved and didn't know about it. So all I would simply say is, let's get the word out, specifically into the school, because I think it'd be a great event. The weather really put a dipper on things, but it really could have been a ton of fun. I know Fall Fest is one of my favorite things here in town, in the yearly calendar, and that would be right up there. It was a good time. I had to get my strings and other body parts are very sore, but it was a lot of fun. That's it.
Mr. Olson?
Nothing, Mayor.
Mr. Jacobs?
No public comments. Just a quick question for John. John, any new information on the hike and bike paving?
We are to take bids again for the second time this coming Thursday. Hopefully, we're going to get a bid or two, and we can make a determination and award a contract for the material, and we can go from there. If we don't get a bid at this point in time, we can go and negotiate with a vendor for the material that we can possibly get. If it fails, then we're going to have to go out to bid through Paul's office and get the project done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Santucci?
And no further comments, Mayor, thank you.
I just wanted to bring up one other constituent question I got over the course of the past 2 weeks, and that was a query about Revere Road. Sergeant Stoddard, that one stretch.
Stoddard Court and Revere Drive.
Revere Drive, that's right, I've got it wrong. So there was some issues coming up. They were basically the same input that we've gotten for years from Autumn Ridge and Smoke Rise, so.
When's it going to get paid?
Right. Anyway, I just want to throw that in the mix. We don't have to answer that tonight, but I'm just telling you, we're getting some feedback from the residents saying, it's been a while, it's starting to look a little ratty. Just when you get a chance to take a look at it next time,
I will take a look.
put it in on your list and score it how you usually do to figure out when it will come up on our, but I wanted to make sure that filtered out. All right, I don't have any other comments for this evening. We are going to go into executive session. Like I said, we do have a potential resolution coming out of that. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you in the back. Thank you all for coming out. Phone's coming back on. Are we back on the recording? All right, it is 10:05, and we're coming out of executive session. We have one resolution coming out of executive session, Resolution 2017-073, because we got all five of us, authorizing the Township of Bedminster to participate in the acquisition of development rights. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
This would be a roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good